Hello students, good morning. I am Dhirendra, Modern English School, New Area, Senior. This is fourth part of video lecture for class 8, History, chapter 4. In this part, we will study about settled cultivators. How did British rule affect tribal lives? What happened to tribal chief? And what happened to shifting cultivators? Dear students, even before 19th century, some tribals within the tribal community started settled cultivation. They started settled cultivation means now they need not move from one place to another place to practice agriculture. Now they started cultivation on the same land year after year. Dear student, some tribal group, for example, Munda of Chota Nagpur, they were very good settlers. They plow the land and after some years, as time passes, they got right over the land they cultivated. What they thought? They thought they were member of the same clan. They were descendant of the tribal group who cleared the forest first. So they thought right over the land of the whole people of the community. British consider settlers as more reliable, civilized and good for British rule. They consider Gond and Santhal as very good settlers, and shifting cultivators and other tribal groups were not civilized. British thought that the tribal group who used to live in forest were uncivilized and savage. British wanted tribal group to settle at one place because it was very easy to control settlers and it was very difficult to control herders, gatherers and shifting cultivators. Dear students, now we will see what happened, how British rule affect lives of tribal group. Dear students, can you imagine how many lions in a forest? जंगल में कितने शेर? Obviously, only one. When British started ruling the India, When they entered into the forest, what he noticed? There were tribal chiefs, and these chiefs have very strong control over their group. These chiefs have economic power as well as administrative power. These groups obey the chief. Dear students, these groups, these chiefs sometimes have police and dispenses justice. He had right to punish those who found guilty. I mean to say that tribal chiefs were very effective in their groups. But when British came, British compelled this tribal chief to work as an agent. He allowed chief to have rights over land, to have their right on their people, but British never allowed him administrative power. He asked the chief to maintain discipline in the tribal group, and he also compelled chief to provide tribute to the British administration. Means, when British came to India, power of tribal chief became very weak. Now they were only agent of British. If they collected tax, they ultimately paid it to the British state. Dear student, what happened to the shifting cultivators? British wanted tribal group to be settled at one place because British found very difficulty in controlling them. The person who moved from place to place, the person who practiced shifting cultivation, they were very difficult to control. And settlers were very easy to control. So they wanted tribal to be settled at one place. Tribal group were not willing to practice settled cultivation. But British compelled shifting cultivators to practice settled cultivation. But was settled cultivation successful? No. Settled cultivation was not successful in the area which receives very scarce rainfall. The area where land is dried. These places are very difficult to practice settled agriculture. So, tribal in northeastern part of India struggled very hard. They opposed this policy of British of settled agriculture. And on seeing vast agitation among tribal group, ultimately British allowed some of the tribal groups to practice shifting cultivation in certain part of the forest. Dear students, we studied today about settled agriculturist, what happened to the chief, how power of chief, administrative and economic power of chiefs became weak, and what happened to the shifting cultivators, how British rule affect tribal lives. That's all.